Most educational creators are spending too much time on the wrong tasks in order to get their first client. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly what I've done to be able to get my own first client so that you could do it faster than what I did. And I faced a lot of mistakes over the years of being an educational creator going through this process. So one of the things I was doing wrong, or actually many of the things I was doing wrong, was that I spent 2 years building courses, websites, email sequences, worrying about different tools, and acquiring skills with zero market feedback. And I created content and products and all these things people didn't actually want. I spread my time across multiple different platforms with no clear offer, so my content wasn't really directing that traffic towards anything too meaningful. And I was consuming too much conflicting advice. I was listening to things like Alex Hermosi, Matt Gray, and so many other places that were giving decent advice, but I was consuming too much, which caused me to be overwhelmed and take no action at all. And I was solving fake problems instead of the real business constraint. And that's what a lot of educational creators face a lot. They solve these perceived problems in their minds when it's in reality is not the ultimate thing that's going to lead them towards their goals or move the needle as fast as they'd like. So the first step is to identify your real constraints. So I'd like to separate this into three categories. So all businesses have these three things, right? If they want to make an actual income, right? And it is attract, convert, and deliver. So attract, you need a way to actually get eyeballs into your offer. You need a traffic source. You need somewhere that you're bringing leads in. So that's attract. You need convert. You need a way to convert those eyeballs into paying customers. And then deliver. You need to deliver on your promises, whatever offer you have to give results to your customers. So those are the three things. And we have, as educational creators, especially if you're working solo, you have basically three hats. You have the marketing, you have the sales, and you have the operations and delivery. So this can be overwhelming to a lot of creators when they're first starting out. This is the reason why we start with step one to identify the real constraint, because we can't do everything at once, especially if we're the solopreneurs, the people that we're just working by ourselves and we don't have a team. If we don't have a team, it's hard to delegate certain tasks. And if you do have a team, you will have to end up delegating certain tasks to fulfill those needs within the business. So for me, my constraint was attract and convert. Like it was mostly attract because I wasn't attracting the right eyeballs to my stuff, to my offer. So I needed to stop what I was doing in the past because I was creating these courses and programs that I thought people wanted, but because I didn't have any market feedback, that time spent was for naught, right? There was almost time left in vain. So I was spending weeks, months doing that. And this is what I see a lot of creators make the mistake of. They're trying to build things without any feedback from their audience, from their customers or their potential customers. So instead of trying to make the back end of the business look perfect before allowing anyone in, you need to understand that great products are built with the customers, not for your customers. And it sounds contradictory when you think about it, but a lot of the business owners and the business people that I've studied over time, like Sam Ovens and Alex Hermosi, they've talked about this a lot. They build stuff with their customers, especially Sam Ovens. I've consumed his content a lot, and he says this himself. He doesn't try to build anything without knowing what the customer actually wants. So when I applied this in my life, when I started getting my own first set of clients, I have 2 clients as of this recording. I didn't build anything, really much of anything, until I understood what they actually wanted and that I could solve it for them in real time. So that was the important thing. I had some stuff I had built on top, but I didn't really focus too much on the coursework or the materials or the resources until I understood, once I actually sold to them, what I would help them with. And then I would build it as we go. So that's a very important thing that a lot of creators are missing. You just need to let people in on your offer and remind them that you exist. So if you don't have your first client yet, most likely your biggest constraint is attract. So we need to solve for that. If you do have a lot of eyeballs, if you do have a lot of leads coming into your door, then your constraint would probably be convert, to actually convert those eyeballs into leads. So identify the real constraint. So for me, when I was able to solve for this specifically, one of the things I did to expedite this process was to first prioritize people in my existing network. So these were the people that trusted me already, that I provided value and goodwill with, and reached out to them specifically. So I would get in the DMs, I would go on my text messages, I'd go into emails and reach out to them one by one. And that would allow me to start booking more research calls to understand what it is that they truly wanted. I didn't immediately sell them at first because I was just figuring out what they really wanted in the first place. So if that's you, if you're still stuck not doing anything, one of the things I do suggest at this time, instead of trying to make content and things that that aren't going anywhere, and like if you already have a content traffic source, if you're already making content and it works and it's bringing leads, you can ignore this advice. But for the people who are still just starting out, one of the things I do suggest is conducting an opportunity audit. So this is your network and your audience that currently exist. So you have a spreadsheet, or you can have a Google Doc or whatever, of all the people that are in your contacts and your email and your school members list, if you have running a school community, people who are following you on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and reach out to those people. Even the people that have liked or commented on your posts that you've made in the past or continue to make. These are the people that you're warming up to. These are the people that you should reach out to. Because if you're making content and nothing's happening, then you're playing this hope technique of thinking that, oh, if I make this piece of content, I'm just going to be able to convert as many people as possible and make the most amount of money possible. But if you're starting out, if you don't have the proof yet, or you don't have the offer resonating with a lot of people yet, you need to start testing that with people. And the best way to do that is to get in front of people directly and be proactive in reaching out to them. And so this is going to be unscalable, yes, but it is also very important. And that's going to be another point that I want to make, is to do the unscalable work. So for me, I literally did 141 one-on-one calls in 2025 before I landed my first client. And I know that sounds crazy, but I really wanted to focus on building real connections and networking with people before I understood like what it is that people really wanted. So when I decided to set aside my ego a little bit and humble myself, I needed to actually get in front of these people and discover what it is that they truly wanted, and to spot patterns and things that people were looking for. So going back to what I had experience in and expertise in, what is the things that I had experience in that I could help people with? And if I could spot patterns through the calls that I've been taking, the networking and discovery calls, then I can understand like, okay, these are the certain patterns that I'm seeing with other people, and this is what I could help them with, and this is what I could potentially offer in the future. So I did the unscalable work. It took a lot of hours. Most of these calls lasted 45 minutes to an hour, sometimes even more. But I was just willing to do as much as possible, not only to try to make sales, but to genuinely build my network and connect with people, to develop relationships and connections. That mattered a lot to me. So one of the things I do suggest, and I don't suggest you have to do 141 one-on-one calls before you have to make your first sale. That's not what I'm suggesting, but I do suggest to do starting the unscalable work. And if you're still trying to build proof for your offer, then be willing to do stuff for free or at very low cost. I did stuff for free. I had case studies that I was willing to work for free to focus on delivering great results for them. And I wanted to build that proof first before I started selling. And proof, if you have testimonials, if you have people that are referring you to other people, if you deliver great results, then it's going to be a lot easier to grow the business. So that's the thing to keep in mind. Doing the unscalable stuff first. Be willing to do that. You could worry about scaling your business later on. I'm not worried about scaling my business right now. I'm just focusing on the unscalable work, getting great results, and then once I know I can deliver great results, and then I somehow become demand constrained. Once I have a lot of demand, then I will look towards scaling the business a little bit more. So that's my biggest suggestion to start off with. That's a step that I took personally. And another thing about this too is that when you're doing these calls and when you're hopping on these calls and presenting your offer for people, one of the things is that you just need to grow a backbone, right? You need to be willing to face rejection. So out of those 141 one-on-one calls, I did 20 sales calls as well. I either presented my offer for people or I was going to present an offer for someone, but I realized that we weren't a good fit. But I faced rejection from those 20 calls before I even landed my first client. 20. I did 20 sales calls, faced rejection. It's just something that you have to keep in mind when you're getting into the game of business and entrepreneurship. You're going to face rejection, and that's the reality of the situation, right? It's okay. We're still going to be alive at the end of the day. I'm still alive, and I'm breathing just fine. I'm living a great life, but it's because I've accepted rejection along the way. Of course, there are other factors, but you know, you just got to be willing to take the punches, take the hits, but you'll learn from them and become better in the process. So once you figure out what actually works within your calls, what people actually want and what you could offer them, then you can start iterating and iterating. And then eventually you will get your first client. It's a volume of effort. And if you're not willing to do that volume of effort, you might have to accept the fact that you're not going to get your first client, right? It's the iteration process. You're not going to learn these sales calls if you're just studying from a book and trying to see like what is the best script I could use. You just need to hop on calls and get in front of people to actually make the sale, right? Being willing to face that rejection, and then you'll get someone who approves, right? You'll get a yes at some point, I promise you, if you're willing to take the action and take the hits, face the rejection. The other big step I would suggest is to start placing tasks on your calendar to reach out to these people and book these calls, right? To do it specifically. If you understand your constraints of the business, then you need to actually set aside time in your calendar, even if you feel busy, if you have a 9 to 5, if you have kids or you have a spouse. You just need to set aside some time, even if it's 30 minutes or an hour, to just reach out to these people, start booking calls, getting conversations with people, because conversations and connections are the biggest factor in success, in booking calls and getting in the DMs with people, making conversations. I can't stress this enough. Be proactive, reach out to the people, understand what your constraint is. And for most people watching this, your constraint is attracting and converting people, not the delivery aspects. The delivery aspect can come once you've actually gotten someone to work with. And then everything can be built up over time. Don't worry about future problems until you solve today's problems, right? We're here to solve today's problems. Tomorrow isn't even guaranteed, right? Tomorrow it might not show up, but if we can solve today's problems, we're gonna sleep a lot better at night. We're just gonna have a lot better clarity on like what actions to take, and it's good. You're gonna feel a lot better when you're actually taking the right steps instead of dodging the tasks that are required and obvious, right? So have a clear understanding of what actually moves the needle, and that's it. And to do the work, do the unscalable work. That's what I suggest. So in conclusion, um, I will say most creators don't have a delivery problem, they have an attraction problem, and sometimes a conversion problem. Find the single constraint in your business and ignore everything else. And then block focused time to solve that one problem until you get results. And I'm also going to say this too. You're not going to see results overnight. It's going to take time. It's going to take time, but be willing to spend that time on what actually matters to you, to be able to get your first client, to be able to make the impact that you want to see in the world. Because all it takes is one client to change your life. It just takes one. So if you want more personalized help with this, I do have 5 spots open this month to help you get more work done in less time so that you can get your first client while not sacrificing the things you love. If that sounds interesting to you, link in the description below. I would love to see if I could help you. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe if you found this valuable. Share this to anyone who is struggling to get their first client, because I definitely want everyone to be able to have that opportunity to be able to work with someone they genuinely want to work with. Let's continue to support each other. Have a great day. Signing out.